Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. It is Thursday, October the 13th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith will be with us momentarily as we get ready for the Thursday card. And joining us is actually one of our all-time favorite guests here. I've had lots of fun with this guy in the past, on the show, with the betcasts, you name it, throwing it down and doing a great job. Ray Bryce is back on the Ice Guys for the first time this season. Ray, what's up, my man? How are you?
How's it going? Good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah,
Feels like summer
absolutely.
flew by though.
It sure did. It sure did. I know you're getting ready for another ECHL season with those
Yeah.
Kalamazoo Wings. How's the prep going for that?
Good. We're a week into camp here. Two preseason games this weekend, and then the real deal starts Monday. You get your team picked by Saturday night or end of Saturday night, whatever, and start going on Monday. Back at it, practice, home opener Saturday night. So I should say the following Saturday. So it's exciting, it's stressful, obviously. Got a lot of guys at camp this year. We didn't meet expectations last year, didn't make the playoffs. So good core back though, and our team's. I think we've added a ton of toughness to our team, which is good, and which we lacked a little bit last year. So it's exciting. We're ready to go, and gearing up here. Feel like I'm finally in shape now after a long week.
Well, that's good. Well, exactly. You got to all those concerts and all this beer drinking. Of course, you got to wear it off at some point and be ready for the hockey season. And yeah, you don't never want to get to that point where, geez, I got to put in the time. I got to do the crunches. I got to do the reps in the gym and all that shit. My lack of gym prowess is showing up. The beer belly for me just keeps expanding by the day. It's not a pretty sight, but that goes with not being a very athletic guy at this stage of my life. That's the way it goes. I'm just sitting and handicapping games, really, and watching games day in and night. So not a lot of opportunity for exercise and keeping yourself in shape. That's the problem I've got right now.
Hey,
But
that's all
anyway,
right.
we're looking forward to it. Obviously, we wish you good luck this season. We'll keep our eyes on
Thank
the
you.
Kalamazoo team and everybody that's been guests on the show. We try to that's still playing in some kind of pro league. We try to follow how they're doing. For sure. Ray, what are your thoughts just overall the first couple nights here, the NHL regular season? It's been a crazy start to the year so far.
Yeah, no, good start. I watched New York and Tampa play the other night. I thought that was a good game. New York looks really good. I thought Zibanejad, that one goal was pretty nice. Like that was an incredible move. Good patience when we went upstairs on Vasilevsky. Last night I got the chance to watch Washington and Boston. I thought Washington didn't look very good. I thought like Pasternak hasn't missed a beat all summer. It was nice to see Krejci come back. He had 2 assists like right away. So those are two games that really focus in. I think the NHL is peaking right now. Like it's the revenue and the fan interaction they're getting is pretty high. And I know they were talking about that on TNT last night. So um, it's exciting to be able to watch every night. And I think there's going to be a couple teams this year that are out of the mix. You look at like coming up tonight, we got Pittsburgh and Arizona. Arizona is probably one of those teams that's maybe the team that's going to be the laughing stock of the league. But I think every night in that league, it's a dogfight, and I'm excited for this year. And I think in the next 10 years, the game's even going to grow even more. So it's exciting.
It also helps that they're on ESPN. It's now year two now, ESPN and TNT. You don't have to look for CNBC and MSNBC and all these fucking brutal networks that you can't find on your
Right.
on your television. So that definitely helps as well. We're going to get to the Thursday card. Ray, we're going to have him only till 2:45, so Eastern time. So we're going to try to get to the Thursday card as quick as possible. But just briefly on the games last night, I wanted to at least recap them briefly because it was a pretty exciting night in the NHL. Ray hit on it already with Washington just looking so porous against Boston. And it's not like Boston was a full strength team either, Ray, last night. I mean, you have no
No, they're
Matt
missing
Grizzlick.
their top D.
Yeah. No Grizzlick, no McAvoy, no Marchand.
Right.
No problem for the Boston Bruins. What a return for David Krejci to the Bruins after a few years playing in Europe. He played well. Bergeron as well, chipping in offensively. And and look, word to Darcy Kemper, you're not playing behind the Avalanche blue line
I know. I
anymore.
was just talking to my buddy the other out there actually. I said, I think Kemper's not as good as he's talked up to be. I could probably have a 3 goals against average with that team in front of me. So
That's definitely some truth to that, because to me, look, he's going to be challenged by the fact that Washington blue line spends way more time in their own zone than Colorado ever does. Colorado just has the puck all night. You don't spend
Yeah.
time in your own zone when you have the puck all the time. He's going to find out it's not that same kind of team, Washington.
Right, 100%. Yeah, and the Washington's on the downside. Like, they're missing Wilson still, and I think he's a big part of that team, actually, in that top line. Ovi had a ton of hits last night, but I thought Boston did a really good job, actually, of keeping him out of it in the power play and doing a good job of shadowing that side. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think Washington, they haven't been in the hunt in the last couple of years, though. They're always in the playoffs, but I don't think they're right there. I really don't.
No, I think Washington is going to be, and we'll talk about Washington. They're in action again tonight against Toronto. I think they're going to be really in tough just to make the playoffs if they do at all. Carolina with a 4-1 win against Columbus. Patrick Laine, who I actually took a 40-1 shot to be the Rocket Richard winner, and that ticket might have just put my money in the incinerator doing that. Probably, it's been Austin Matthews' award the last couple of years, that trophy, the leading goal scorer, but he does get a goal. I figured that chemistry with him and Gaudreau would be great, but the guy suffers an injury, and now he's going to maybe need an MRI, and will he need surgery? And now we're looking at he might miss some significant time. Patrick Laine getting injured last night. So frustrating to see that, especially because he's expected to be a huge component for Columbus. Seth Jarvis keeps doing Seth Jarvis things. That's why he's playing on the top line for Carolina, chipping in. Yeah, he's just fantastic. He's only going to get better. He displaced Svechnikov, and for good reason, because he played better than Svechnikov in the playoffs last year, too, playing with Aho and Teravainen. Great stuff from him. 4-1 Carolina win. Alex isn't here, so we can slag Chicago all we want. They lose 5-2 to the Colorado Avalanche. Really not a big.
Biz was calling them the Rockford Ice Hogs last night on TV.
Yeah. They're getting close to that kind of territory with the roster they're putting out on the ice every night.
What were they doing this summer with the blanket? Come on.
Yeah. I thought they were. That's what Alex was pissed off about, Ray, was that they were supposed to build around DeBrincat, and it just hasn't happened. They just traded him away. It's like, that's the one piece. I know you're in a rebuild, but you got to keep around one cornerstone piece that you're going to have on your team for years. Like, it was insane that they did that, but they lose to Colorado last night. And then, of course, one of the big upsets of the night, the Leafs, they leafed on us. That's exactly what they did. They did a Leafs. That's exactly what they did, losing to the Montreal Canadiens 4-3. Just incredibly bad how many turnovers they had, how sloppy they were with the puck. I mean, this is game 1 of 82. Sheldon Keefe is throwing around words like unacceptable. It's game 1, and he's throwing around
I saw his post-game. He wasn't too happy. Cole Caulfield looked good last night, though. Whew.
Goal.
He beat Matt Murray where Matt Murray's bad.
Yep. He looks good. What do you think of his release? Isn't it something?
It's absurd. And yeah, Montreal, I think they believe in St. Louis. I don't blame him. He's a storied player, and I think they're excited about what they brought in for some new guys, and everyone's knocking them down. I'm not sold that they're going to be a bad team yet. I'm really not, and I think Caulfield can have a good year. That guy's an elite scorer in the league.
He could score 40 easy.
Right,
easy.
Exactly. Hey, he's on pace for 160.
He was 60-1 to be the Rocket. I'm not saying he will, obviously. But 60-1, and he's already off to this terrific. And look, he's going to have to carry that offense from Montreal. He's going to be that guy that's going to do it. So, just a great start from him. And look, Toronto with sloppy play, turnovers galore. That is inexcusable. What happened in the fourth? You tied the game just a minute ago. You think you're going to get 1 point in the bank at least, go to overtime. What does Jake Muzzin do? Jake Muzzin was a pillar of strength for the LA Kings for many years with those Stanley Cup teams. He was great for them. What has happened? His play has just fallen off, in an incredibly quick amount of time. He's throwing pizzas up the middle of the ice right there.
Matthews with donuts left. Matthews didn't have anything either.
He had a quiet night. Yeah, 2 shots on goal. It just didn't feel like he had a real great opportunity to score at any point. Yeah,
he was good in the face-off dot at 60% though.
Yeah, it was a quiet night for Austin Matthews standards, but
Murray
just a horrible
with an
giveaway.
8.26. That's not too surprising.
No, But a horrible giveaway by Muzzin there at the end, and it puts the game away, and Toronto ends up losing 4-3. But they deserve that. Like, they just made too many. You cannot feed a team with that speed. The one thing Montreal has is a transition game and
Right.
scoring off the rush, and they can obviously do that, and they did. The other games last night, briefly here, 5-4. What a comeback by those Anaheim Ducks, man! Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, just incredible. You saw Mason McTavish didn't score a goal, but he was all over the ice. He got a point or two last night. I've got a sprinkle on him to be Calder Trophy winner this year, Mason McTavish. Saw him in Hamilton up close and personal here with the Bulldogs last year. Incredible player because he can score. He's got a great release, goes to the front of the net, physical, tough on the puck, can do it all, really. Going to be great for the Anaheim Ducks. They didn't play great last night. Seattle, it's a game they deserve to win. They outshot Anaheim, 48-26? John Gibson was really good when he had to be. And Philip Grubauer talked about how he struggled last year after Colorado and bad first year with Seattle. Not much better last night for Philip Grubauer. And Anaheim comes back from a 4-2 deficit to beat Seattle 5-4. I took them over their point total, Rays, Anaheim. I think they're going to be a sneaky, improved team.
Yeah, no, they got some good guys. That young core is back. Like you said, that McTavish kid's going to be a stud. And I'm not like, I think their D are actually pretty good too. Like Klingberg, Cam Fowler, Jamie Drysdale, Kevin Shattenkirk. Like, those are 4 good D right there. Dmitry Kulikov you have back there as well, and Gibson. If he's got a good D core, he can steal a game for you too. Like, in the occasion, he's an elite goaltender in the league, I think. And up front, like I said, they got a good young core up front. Zegras, Terry, Henrique's. He's not that young, but he's good. And brought in Vetrano. The McTavish kid's going to be a stud. Like, those are 5-6 guys that can play on any top 2 lines, in the league. So Shane Wright, only 6 minutes of ice time for Seattle.
Yeah, what does that mean? Is that a sign of things to come? Is there a lack of trust right now? He's supposed to be pretty good defensively as well, away from the puck.
Right.
I mean, it can't be that, or at least he was in junior. Complete, two-way player. Why did he only get 6 minutes last night in that game? A little bit surprising to see that. And then we had the Connor McDavid show, Ray, with Edmonton. They get down 3-0. A horrible start. The Oilers couldn't have started that game any worse. If you watch the first 5 minutes, you're like, did Edmonton get the alarm clock today? Did the alarm go off for this team? Because it didn't look like it. But, man, when you've got the offensive explosiveness they have, and Connor McDavid can explode for a hat trick at any given moment, you're never out of a game. And they showed it last night. 3-0 deficit, roar back, and they end up winning 5-3. And they cover the puck line, too. -1.5 if you laid the puck line after being down 3-0. Quite the comeback from Edmonton. Not the first time they're going to be able to come back on teams this year, Ray, with that offense.
No, that sounds like Vancouver awoke a sleeping giant. That's that McDavid, 4 points, 3 goals. Is that guy just a freak? Like, you can't even explain what he's 700 points in 480-something games. Like, it's
insane.
He's literally the best player in the world. And it's, like they were talking about TNT last night. Would you rather have Makar or McDavid? Makar is that good too, but you cannot.
Is there an option for both? Yeah.
Right. You can't. You just can't. Like, he's that good. 3 goals, 23 minutes on ice. Like, that's elite.
Yeah, he absolutely incredible. And look, Evander Kane had a quiet night, but that's okay when Connor's going to go for a hat trick. And it was a rough night for the young kid Dylan Holloway, but I do think we'll keep an eye on him moving forward. He's going to be someone that's school. Yeah, I think he's going to be able to have a nice season there.
They only gave him 8 minutes,
Yeah, he had a bad turnover that led to one of the early Vancouver goals. I think that's what kind of set him back in terms of his ice time. But yeah,
it's tough for me to watch these late games.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, especially now. You need your sleep, right? You're getting ready to play every other night. You're ready for those I know you're looking forward to those bus trips that you're going to be
absolutely. On. Can't wait.
Can't wait for those. Yeah. You just live for those ECHL game-to-game bus trips.
Yeah. Exactly. 4 and 5, 4 different cities.
Yeah. Get used to life on the bus. Ray's going to be experiencing that quite a bit here these next several months. But the highlight as we turn the page from last night to tonight is definitely what happened with the Leafs. I mean, it's just incredibly disappointing, and just the mistakes, and to not be ready for night one of the season. And again, just horrible turnovers with the puck. It just shows you that, and soft, they were outworked. They were outplayed and out hustled by Montreal, that young team. And that goes to show you Toronto's questions are still there about their futility over the last few years. All right, let's go to tonight's card. We've got a great Thursday slate on tap. We've got 10 games. We'll start with Ottawa Buffalo here. Ottawa minus 120 road favorite, 6.5 the total. Bettors were onto this right away. This total was 6. I said, this has to go up, doesn't it? And sure enough, overnight, 6s were disappearing, and now it's 6.5 pretty much across the board. And it's easy to see why. These two teams are both, I think, better offensively than defensively. You look at the Sens, Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Drake Batherson. You bring in Alex DeBrincat, Josh Norris, Claude Giroux now as well. What a top 6 you've got. Shane Pinto is on a third line, and I think he's going to be very good for Ottawa as well. Shabbat, Zub, Sanderson, Hamonic, Brandstrom, and Holden, though, that defense is still the question mark. Outside of Shabbat, you got a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience, and a lot of players that aren't used to playing big minutes, tough minutes defensively. So I think there's some worries with Ottawa defensively a little bit, but they're able to light it up with that forward group. And then Cam Talbot is injured to start the year, which means it's Anton Forsberg who's going to be the goaltender. And Buffalo, the same thing. I mean, I've got questions with the D. They've got a nucleus, Ray, on D that are going to be good long-term. Samuelson, Dahlin, Owen Power. I've got the power. Owen Power, yes, they've got him for sure. Number 1 pick. There's a drop-off after that with Bryson, Yoki Haru, and Labushkin. And the goaltending's a concern for them because you've got Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie. Craig Anderson's 40 years old, and Eric Comrie had a great year as a backup last year, but is he ready to do it again this year for Buffalo? But up front, they're going to be able to light it up with Tage Thompson, Skinner, Jeff Skinner, Victor Olofsson, Jack Quinn, Casey Middlestat, Alex Tuck. And don't sleep on J.J. Peterka, Peyton Krebs, and Dylan Cousins. That could really be a good third line for the Buffalo Sabres. So I like goals tonight over the total for me. A bunch of props, but we'll get Ray's thoughts first. What do you think here, Ray, with Ottawa Buffalo?
Yeah, I think Buffalo is something to be excited about. I don't think they're there yet. I love the move that Ottawa's made in the offseason. That top 6, like you had mentioned, is unbelievable. DeBrincat's an elite scorer in the league. I also like your over here. A lot of goals. I'm not sold on goaltending, especially with Ottawa's goalie hurt as well. Craig Anderson's old as dirt. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But like you said, I'm with you on the over there.
And a lot of props too. It's a good prop game. Thompson, it goes without saying. I want to sprinkle a little bit because I'm going to have a bunch of goal scorer props. If you saw on Twitter at Bobano, I posted every goal scorer prop. We had like damn near 50 of them. So probably expect something similar tonight, maybe even more because there's more games tonight. But Thompson's a good option. I think Krebs and Peterka as well, just for a little more value, because I think they're going to be able to contribute offensively. Skinner, of course, with a 30-goal year, but I think for the value, you're looking at Thompson, you're looking at Jack Quinn, who they're very high on him in that second-line role. J.J. Peterka, Cousins, Krebs, I don't mind taking them. They are going to get some offense from that third line. As for Ottawa, Claude Giroux in his first game probably wants to make an impact. Stützle is always someone I'm interested. Same with DeBrincat. I like taking players in terms of their player props when they're playing the first game for the new team. They want to get on the board. They want to make an impact. And I think from that third line, Shane Pinto is another one of those players that I've been feasting on with goal props, players that have had good preseason performances, that have been scoring, that have been producing. Shane Pinto has been doing that for Ottawa in the preseason. So I think Shane Pinto is a good prop look as well. Speaking of good looks, we've got Alex B. Smith there here on the show here today. Alex, welcome in. Good to see you. Before we talk Ottawa, you can talk Ottawa, Buffalo too, but as well, thoughts last night.
Last night was an interesting night. We learned a lot, and you don't want to overreact to some certain teams' first games, but the Washington Capitals looked awful last night. I mean, it was just it was a mess. And for about maybe 48, 49 minutes of play out of the 60 minutes, they were getting dominated. They had a little spurt where they cut the lead down to 3-2, but that was basically short-lived. I mean, they were just no-shows in the third period when they had a real good chance. And some power plays to capitalize on, they just couldn't get anything rolling. So that was a bit unfortunate. I talked a little bit on Twitter about I loved what the Colorado Avalanche did with their ceremony, but I didn't really like the look of Jack Johnson. One thing for him to be sitting on the bench and watching the video tribute, and they give him the tribute during the game and different things like that. But I didn't like the fact that him skating over in his uniform and
No,
taking
that
the
was over the
photos.
top.
That was way
putting
over
his
the
arms around everybody.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's great to be on the team. You're not on that team anymore. Come
Exactly.
on.
And I know people want to jump and say, "Oh, I'm just saying that because it's the Hawks," and I'm like, no. And I did a comparison. If that Dustin Byfuglien and Andrew Ladd had come over opening night 2011 in their Thrasher uniforms to hover around Kane and Taves and Keith, that would have looked very strange. I would not have been a fan of that. I just think you've won, you get your ring in a different ceremony. They give you your little tribute during the game, and you move on. I just thought that was total overkill.
I agree with that fully. I mean, that was just come on. I know you had a great run. Look. I think it's part of it is I want to ask you something, Alex. If Jack Johnson is playing instead he goes from let's say he goes from Colorado to Tampa Bay or Colorado to Toronto or Colorado to some team that's got some aspirations to be really good this year.
Right.
Is he doing that? Is he doing that same gesture where he's just
Probably
going
not.
over to his old teammates and just hugging them and just, getting his ring there with them? Or is it because, you know what, I'm with a bad team anyway. It's going to be a horse shit year. Let me get my fun in here and rejoin my old mates.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. If he was with a team, and the thing is too, these are division rivals that go back years and years, mind you. So it was just a bad look all the way around. I understand, like I said, give him his props and let him enjoy his moments, but that was just a bit too far.
Yeah, I need my 2 minutes getting away from a bad team to be with a good team again.
Right.
So maybe he was thinking that, but yeah, I didn't love it. And certainly I understand why you as a Blackhawk fan maybe had some issues with it. Alex, Ottawa, Buffalo, what are you liking here?
Yeah, these are two teams that I'm high on upgrading this year, especially Ottawa. We talk about the issues with the goaltending, of course. It's going to be Anton Forsberg and Magnus Hellberg for the next 5 to 7 weeks because Cam Talbot's out with the rib injury. But I still think this is the Ottawa team that's loaded offensively. This should be a fun game. Buffalo, we saw the strides that they took moving forward. I don't know if they're going to just get off to just a super hot start right away. We have seen that from them before. We've seen some really bad Buffalo teams actually look pretty good in the first month or 2 months of the season and then fall off the face of the earth once the calendar changes to the new year. This will be a team that, like I said, think plays better. I'm worried about their goaltending more than Ottawa, though. I mean, Craig Anderson at 41 years of age, can he still really hack it? He looked at, like a number 2 option for most of the last year anyway and dealt with some injury issues. So I think that's the biggest question mark Buffalo will have to answer at some point. If they really want to consider themselves a true playoff contender, wild card contender, they're going to have to upgrade that goaltending. Ottawa, they can just weather the storm enough and play well until Talbot gets back and he's healthy. I think they should be fine. I think they can actually get a wild card spot. As far as this game goes tonight, I would slightly lean toward Ottawa at minus $1.20.
All right, so just a lean to Ottawa here for Alex. All right, Arizona, Pittsburgh. Here we go with Arizona. To fade them, you got to lay 380, minus 380. Get used to that if you're going to try to bet against this Coyotes team. Obviously projected to be one of the worst teams in the NHL this year. 6.5 the total in this game. You look at this Arizona team. Not only are they weak up front and depth shy up front, but you had Clayton Keller banged up in the pre-season. Nick Schmaltz dealing with a lower body injury. They're both going to play, but battling nursing minor injuries. They were in training camp in the preseason. You have Nick Ritchie, Nick Bukestad, and Zach Kassian slated to be your second line for the Arizona Coyotes. Lawson Krause, Barrett Hayton, Christian Fisher, your third line. Liam O'Brien, Jack McBain, Dylan Gunther, your fourth line. Nick Schmaltz, I'll give Nick Schmaltz credit. He had a good year for them down the stretch. I mean, down the stretch, he was a big part of making them go offensively. 23 goals, 36 assists, 59 points in 63 games for Nick Schmaltz last year. So if you're going to maybe bet someone for Arizona prop-wise, he's the obvious candidate in my opinion. That blue line's a young, very, very inexperienced group. Dyson Mayo still growing. Josh Brown and Connor Timmins, they've been around a little bit, but they haven't played the minutes they're going to have to here with Arizona. Same with Troy Stetcher. Shane Gostisbehere is just a horror show defensively in his own zone half the time, but he's very good, obviously moving the puck, but liability in his own end. Pittsburgh, look, we've said this in the preview show, Alex and I. If they stay healthy, they're a really good team still, but how many games are we going to go with Gensel, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all these guys on the ice and healthy at the same time. We don't know. That's the big crapshoot. I think tonight they've got pretty much everybody available. Teddy Bluger. The one guy that's out is the guy that matters most to our guy Vito. Rinas Vitalins from Latvia, because he played with Teddy Bluger. I know damn well if this was Vito on the show today, we'd be getting a Teddy Bluger reference from Vito because he played with him there for a few years, many years ago. But Teddy Bluger's out for Pittsburgh. I know Vito was very sad to see that. I'm sure he is. But nevertheless, other than that, Pittsburgh's pretty healthy here tonight. Blue line and forwards. Tristan Jarry expected to be in net for them here in the opener tonight. Karel Vejmelka. Last I checked, it's likely going to be him in net for the Arizona Coyotes. I'm passing on this game. Would lean on a Pittsburgh team total over. Would lean on a maybe like the only value you can extract from Pittsburgh is maybe a minus 2.5 with their puck line, or a first period puck line -0.5 at around even money. That's really all you can do with this team if you're going to try to back them tonight and find some value. So small leans with that, but this is going to be more of a game where I put maybe a couple of props in, and that's about it. Ray, what are you thinking here, Arizona, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of tough. Obviously, your first game of the season, you got a young squad that's going to compete in Arizona, but Pittsburgh's just going to be ready to go. This is the first that Crosby wasn't healthy at the start of the year. I think he's excited that he's finally healthy and good to go. That plus 2.5 for Arizona is tough. The over at 6, is it going to be 5-1? Probably. So that's still tough too. I don't see Arizona getting much shots on net even. So I'm going to actually probably stay away from this one a little bit, or I would stay away from this one. Obviously, I can't bet anymore due to the season, but it's I do like your first period line. Just through the
it's the only way to get some kind of value probably out of Pittsburgh would be -0.5, -1. Yeah, I don't mind some Cheshire Cat in the chats here. You're saying Clayton Keller. Yeah, absolutely. Keller and Schmaltz. I think it starts and ends with those two guys. If Arizona is going to do anything offensively tonight in this game, those are the two guys that are going to probably be the most likely candidates to produce. What do you think here, Alex? Arizona and Pitt.
Well, here's the good thing. The Arizona Coyotes actually come into this game on a 3-game winning streak from last year. Well, here's the bad news. They have lost the last 7 meetings in Pittsburgh. They have lost 18 of the last 24 meetings with Pittsburgh overall. There's a reason why this game is lined the way it is. And like I said, Pittsburgh is about as healthy as you're going to get them for most of the year. So it might be all horses go. I'm looking at the team total over 4.5 plus 130. That's a bit steep, but I think Pittsburgh can kind of name their score in this game. It can get ugly if they give up some goals early. So I'm going Penguins team total over. That's the only thing you can really look at with some value. That's the only plus price thing you can even find, really, unless you went to back Arizona. And like I said, Arizona at a plus price, the last 3 times they were plus 350 or 400 range. We saw them actually cash tickets. So be careful with these giant favorites. So those of you who are just now getting into betting, these $3.80s, these $4, we don't play these often. We very, very, very rarely ever lay more than $2, let alone 3 or 4. So tread lightly with that.
See, I would rather lose a first period puck line, lose a -2.5 puck line with Pittsburgh, alternative puck line, than risk the -380. Even against Arizona, I would not feel comfortable even against Arizona on a lot of nights laying this kind of price against them, even though we think it could be another rough season for them. All right, New Jersey. Speaking of rough seasons, the Philadelphia Flyers are about to open their season here, hosting the New Jersey Devils. We've got New Jersey.
I'll tell you what, though, they'll be in shape.
Yeah. With Torts, that's a great point. Torts going to crack
that. Did you see
the
picture of the guy laying on the ice next to Torts during camp? One of their guys is just laying like this, staring at the ceiling, and Torts is just skating by him, laughing.
Yeah, you're going to have to make sure you're ready to play and you're defensive, not only in shape, but defensively responsible, or Torts is going to have your ass stapled to the bench. It's the way it always is with him. We know Ray doesn't have issues with defensive responsibility when he plays. Devils -125, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Look, when I look at this game here, they're betting the money's coming in on Philly here. Actually, a little bit, not my money. I'll tell you that right now. I'm gonna lay it with New Jersey here on the road. Now, are the Devils a bit of a flighty team to be laying road chalk? as road favorites. You could argue that. There's still some defensive issues with New Jersey that I'm not sure have been fixed. Siegenthaler, Dougie Hamilton sometimes has lapses defensively. Ryan Graves is more known to, skate the puck up the ice. Damon Severson. Brendan Smith is a nice addition. You need some stay-at-home, shut-down defensive ability. He'll help. I think John Marino getting a change of scenery here with New Jersey is a nice little addition, but still the blue line's questionable, but scoring won't be for New Jersey. I mean, they bring in Andre Palat, a winner, Stanley Cup experience, Jack Hughes, Dawson Mercer, Thomas Tatar, Eric Howla for experience, Alex Holtz, Zetterlund, Sharon Govich, Jesper Bratt. Miles Wood is healthy, and don't forget how good he was before he got injured last year. And Nico Hischier, who's actually going to be on IR, it looks like, tonight to begin the season. He will not play tonight. I think that might be some of the reason why there's been a little money coming in on Philly. But to me, Philadelphia, I've got them under their point total. I've got them at plus 1,500 to be the worst record in the NHL this year, even worse than Chicago, Arizona, San Jose, teams like that. I also have San Jose worst record too, but in the East, I took Philly worst record. I think there's a chance. I mean, to me, there's not much to like. I mean, Carter Hart's playing behind a very weak blue line. Provorov has to bounce back. If he doesn't, D'Angelo can be an issue at times in his own end, but he's got those offensive instincts. Sanheim, Braun, Sealer, Zamula. I mean, it's just a weak blue line. Overall, it's depth issues as well. And then up front, where are the goals going to come from? I like Kevin Hayes, but is he ready to be a number one center? And Morgan Frost has shown you very little. He's underwhelmed considering what they expected of him, and he's your number two center. So they've got concerns down the middle. Cam Atkinson's out to begin the year. Sean Couturier is on IR. He won't be back for a long period of time, which is another reason why their center ice depth has taken a hit to begin the season. So I'm going to lay the modest, reasonable price here with New Jersey, minus 125 in this one. Ray, what do you think here, Devils Flyers?
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I think that the new face in Philly with Torts, I think he's going to, like in the NHL, if you can have your guys playing they're good enough, or if they can be like systematically good defensively, I think that it's gonna be tough to score goals against them. I don't think they have a ton of offense.
They want to play 2-1.
I'm not super high in New Jersey. Like that place is a library to play right now. Like their fan interaction isn't great. They don't get a ton of fans. Like last year, they didn't have a ton of fans. So, but I think Jack Hughes is gonna be like he's the real deal. They do have some players, like you said. I would actually probably lean towards New Jersey here, but just due to Flyers injuries. But this one scares me a little bit, to be honest.
All right, it does. You know why it scares? It doesn't scare me to bet against Philly, Ray. It scares me to lay minus 125 with New Jersey on the road. That's what scares me. It's right. There's still a bit of a lack of trust that I have with the Devils. It's just that I am lower than the market. Lower than the betting markets for the most part on Philadelphia. As much as they don't like Philly, I think I maybe dislike Philly even more this year because I've got them second last in my power, and I'll be posting those, by the way, later today on the Patreon page, patreon.com/iceguys power ratings. My initial power ratings, first ones, and we'll do them every week. We'll update them. The Philly's second last in my power ratings to begin the season. So tells you how low my opinion is on this team right now. Maybe they have a chance to prove me wrong here tonight, but that's why I'm on New Jersey. What do you think here, Alex? Devils Flyers?
Yeah, this is a game I'm staying away from. I'm with you. I have the Flyers as my third worst team in hockey, but I have the Devils pretty low too. I think they're going to kind of be the same old team we're seeing from that. I think they're maybe a year or so away. I do like the young talent, the way they develop things. I think Mackenzie Blackwood has a bounce back year. I kind of talked about that in the season preview episode. And I think him and Vanacek will make a good 1-2 tandem. But I think they're going to find themselves still on the outside looking in, where Philly is just going to be absolutely horrendous all year. They're definitely going to be a lottery pick team for sure. So this is one, like I said, if the Flyers win this game, it's not going to tell a whole story necessarily. But if they get crushed and look as bad as we're already have them kind of slated, then we may not see a whole lot of teams, a whole lot of prices in this range when the Flyers are playing.
That's another thing too. Strike while the iron is hot, right? If Philadelphia is bad tonight, all of a sudden the prices are going to get worse to bet against them. So that's kind of my thinking as well. Let's jump on New Jersey now. Let's jump on anti-Philadelphia bets right now. before things change if they're as bad as I think they might be. All right, Florida, New York Islanders. We've got Florida minus 140, road favorite, 6 the total in this one. This could be an under, believe it or not. I lean that way. We talked actually a little bit that Florida with Paul Maurice now as the head coach, they want to be more of a cycle forecheck team. That's the way he's always wanted his teams to play. Not so much the score off the rush, the transition game. And I don't know if Florida is equipped personnel wise as much to play that way. And they bring in Kachuk, who's very adept at playing a chip and chase, forecheck cycle game. It doesn't always have to be rush and transition hockey with him. So, you might see Florida slow down their pace a little bit. And to be honest, I don't know if they have the punch from their third and their fourth line offensively that they did last year. Mason Marchment's not there anymore. And they lost a couple key pieces from that team last year. And then the blue line without Mackenzie Weegar concerns me. He's a good defenseman, but it's just how good the pairing of him and Ekblad were. Ekblad didn't play as well when Weegar was out last year. And now they're going to experiment with this Gustav Forsling now as the new number one pair defenseman with Ekblad. Mark Stahl, is his best days behind him? They might be. Radko Gudas, slow of foot. You can beat him with speed. Josh Mahura comes over from Anaheim. I kind of like that as depth. Brandon Montour's solid, but depth concerns on that Panther blue line, and Bobrovsky was not sharp at all in the preseason. And it's going to be interesting to see who gets the nod here in net tonight for the Florida Panthers. Last I checked with them, it was going to be Bobrovsky, and it will be in net, and Sorokin for the New York Islanders. But he's going to have to show it because I think the leash might be short on him. You've got Spencer Knight, who just got re-upped to a new contract in the offseason, waiting in the wings if he struggles. And Spencer Knight was the better goalie in the preseason for Florida. So we'll see if Bobrovsky can turn it around, be ready to go here tonight. If he is, it's still a New York Islander team that offensively has their concerns, like who's going to score beyond Barzal and Beauvillier on a consistent basis. So this could be an under for me. I'm passing on the side. I think Florida would be the lean, but I'm not going to lay about 40 with them here on the road. But I'm anti-Islanders as well until I see something. Barry Trott's gone. I know Lane Lambert is a disciple of Trott's, assistant for years with him, takes over as the new head coach. But I think the Islanders need to prove to me first they're good before I'm ready to think they're good. What do you think, Ray? Panthers, Islanders?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think probably an under here. Florida lost some of their scoring touch and their offensive ability, and I don't think New York's there yet. I think they're in the rebuild. The Blues team seem to have a more defensive mindset. And like you said, Lambert's a disciple of Tross, who's a defensive goddess. So I like that under. A little bit scared at plus 1.5. Or I'm sorry, I actually don't mind the plus 1.5 for New York, but the price is pretty ugly at minus 245.
Yeah.
So that's something to probably stay away from, I would say as well.
And the scary thing about laying up 245, Ray, with the plus 1.5 is you could have a Vancouver like last night and you get blown up by the empty net goal, in the final minute. And that's why it's risky to be laying those big prices on the plus one. I get it, you insurance that they don't win the game, but yeah, it's so many times can be blown up by the empty net, and you worry about that for sure. Alex, Panthers, Islanders.
Yeah, it's interesting enough. I took a shot with this first period over at minus $1.35. It's gone up a little bit to $1.40. I've seen $1.45 at a couple of shops as well. And here's why. Like I said, Florida, they're not going to be playing that same up and down rush style. They're going to be trying to play with a little bit more of a cycle game. I think that could lead to some problems and maybe some turnovers. And that could get this Islanders team that's kind of used to playing a more grittier and harder hitting style, give them some offensive punch. So it's kind of one of those counter plays that something that's like kind of like a football theory that you see sometimes, where it's a crisscross in matchups and styles that leads to a higher scoring, I think, early in the game. Now, as time settles in, and like I said, with Lambert being the disciple of Trotz, this is where we'll see if he really has that Trotz quality to make adjustments in between periods and really kind of, grind their style down, get things a little bit more solidified. So I'm looking for the first period over. I already played that, like I said, 1.5 minus $1.35. But I'd also be possibly looking for a live under if we cash that, try to get a 7.5 or an 8.5 at a decent price and go from there.
All right, so first period over and maybe a live under after that. Ray has to scoot in a couple of minutes, so we've only got him for a couple of more minutes. So we're going to run through the rest of the games just in rapid fire form with him, just get his thoughts, and then Alex and I will give ours after that. Washington, Toronto. We've got obviously Toronto huge favorites here, minus 210, total 6.5. Ray, what are your thoughts here? Caps, Leafs.
Yeah, Toronto first game at home. They were brutal last night. You got to lean with them. Washington also looked terrible. They're on the road again. I just don't think that Washington. I really, like I said earlier, I don't think Kemper's that good either. Toronto got ripped. Their top guys weren't there last night. They lose in a terrible fashion. High pressure market. You got to lean with them. I like that minus 1.5 at plus 126 as well as what I'm seeing. So that's never a bad one. I think that's, and the over under at 7. That's I'll probably stay away from that one. Is what I'm seeing. So that's my thoughts for that one. I think they're big guns. Matthews could probably goal scorer prop here is probably not a great price, but I think he comes out tonight. He was donuts across the board last night with 5 shots. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Usually when he's quiet one game, he's not quiet the next. And Ilya Samsonov, by the way, in net for the Leafs facing his former team, the Capitals. So we'll see how that plays into it. All right, Rangers Wild. Ray, Wild minus 135, total of 6. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think like New York looked good the other night. I thought they were really good against a team that almost won back to back to back. And a Tampa team that returned most of their guys. They lost a couple D-men, but I thought they were really good. And they have a day off. What was that day off yesterday? Probably. So I like them. It's New York or Minnesota's home opener. They lose Kevin Fiala. I'm not high on Minnesota yet. I'd like to see them play a little bit more. I actually like New York as plus 110.
All right. Rangers are passed for me as an underdog with Shesterkin and net. I will not be ever betting against the Rangers as a dog with Shesterkin and net, period. Period, end of story. Just will not happen at any point this year. All right, Dallas, Nashville. Nashville minus 135, home favorites, 5.5 the total. What do you think, Stars, Preds, Ray?
Yeah, I actually like the over here. I don't. You see, obviously, you got Saros and net for Nashville's a great goaltender, and I'll be interested. Do you know who's starting for Dallas tonight? Is it going to be Jake Ottinger?
Jake Ottinger. Yeah, Jake Ottinger. Yep. It should be. It hasn't actually been confirmed yet, but I expect it to be.
I expect it as well. I like Nashville here. I think that they're the favorites, obviously, at home. I don't, like I said, over 5.5. It's you're probably looking at a 3-2 game there. So 4-2, it's right on that line there. I actually probably would lean towards the over. First game for a young Ottinger, a new season, still young. This one's tough for me. I'm not huge into Dallas. I don't think they're a great team. I think their goaltending got them in the playoffs last year. Nashville made some good additions. McDonough to their decor. I think that I'm going to lean with Nashville here, but this isn't a game I'm focused in on. It's tough for me here. I only watch most of the 7:00 games, and then usually go to bed. Watch 2 periods of that and go to bed. So.
Yeah, and there's reasons for that, obviously.
Right.
It's got to turn in early at night. So, but he does like the over, it looks like, in that game. All right, 3 games left. Colorado, Calgary. Calgary minus 135, home favorite, 6.5 the total. Calgary at home, rested. Colorado back-to-back. What do you think, Ray, about this one? Great
game.
Yeah,
I don't know about that one. You get Huberdeau back in Calgary. They lose Kachuk. Colorado is just that good, I think. I'm going to take Colorado in this game again. They're just that good for me. They're elite. I know they played last night, opening night, but it's not like they had a terrible, tough night last night. They played an American Hockey League team. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm with Colorado there.
Yeah, Alex will never take it personal, any slight against the Blackhawks. Not this year, not with this team. All right,
Yeah.
speaking of them, great segue. Chicago, Vegas. Look at the price, -350. Vegas home favorite, 6.5 the total. Ray, what are you doing, if anything, with this one?
Yeah, I'd stay away from this one probably. I don't even like the over under. You might get a like you think how good Colorado is 5-2, so you're right at that line, right? It could be a 4-1 game here, 5-1 game. So the line's scaring me a little bit. 375, and stay away from that. Is what I'm seeing, -375 for Vegas. These bad teams scare me because you never know what can happen. Chicago played last night. Excuse me. Vegas played the other night. They're rested. I mean, it's a no-brainer for Vegas, but the price is just too ugly for me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this team total over theory with the opponent of Chicago. It's already 1-0 this year. It's a segue for what I'm thinking in that game later on. Seattle and LA. We've got LA -180. Last game here, 6 the total before we let Ray go. After this, Ray, what do you think here? Kraken and King. Brutal loss for the Kraken. Now they got to play back-to-back against the Kings.
Right, back-to-back for the Kraken. Kings have a day off. They got outshot pretty bad. It was like 50-30 with Vegas coming to town the other night. I'm leaning with – I like Los Angeles here. They're at -1.5. I actually don't mind that either, +144. I'm going to take them straight up, though. For me, I think that Seattle, not great goaltending. Grubauer was okay last night. A tough night for him. They're young. They're young guys that haven't played back-to-back already. I just like LA here.
All right, LA maybe in regulation or puck line -1.5 there. And keep in mind, it looks like we could be seeing Martin Jones now with his new team here in net tonight for the Seattle Kraken. So, that's always something that piques my interest whenever I see that. All right, Ray, best bet before we let you go. What do you think for best bet tonight?
I'm going to say best bet would be I'm going to take the – I have a couple in mind here. I like the Ottawa Buffalo over 6.5.
I like where you're going with that. Yeah,
I think that's my best bet.
There you go. Ottawa Buffalo over the total 6.5 for Ray Bryce, his best bet. Ray, thanks for doing this. I know you're tight for time. You got to go. Thanks for joining us. We'll do this again. Good luck as you start your season next week.
I'll be back. So.
All right. Cheers.
I didn't get to say hi either, Alex. Hope
that's all good.
Well.
All right, see you, man.
Guys.
There he is, Ray Bryce. One of our favorites. Like I say, the guy's full of energy. He was killing it on our bet casts last year as well. It's just really just tons of like these. You think I bet a shit ton of games pregame and live. We'll see what Ray was doing last year on the bet cast. Incredible stuff. Great to see Ray Bryce, great guest, and we'll have him back throughout the season. We wish him well. We'll keep an eye on how Kalamazoo is doing this year in the ECHL, and hopefully they have a good season. Get in those playoffs. Exactly. Hopefully they are able to. All right. We'll continue along. We left off with Florida and the Islanders. We will go to Washington and Toronto. We've got Toronto -210, home favorite, 6.5 the total. I'm on Toronto in regulation here. I decided I'd go that route. I don't hate the -1.5 either. I think it's a wake-up call. When Sheldon Keefe's throwing around unacceptable and disgraceful, not disgraceful, but unacceptable is what he said after the game last night. I think it's reasonable to expect Toronto to be fully focused tonight on the task at hand. It is their home opener now. They know they were sloppy with the puck, too many turnovers. That can't happen. Clean up the mistakes. And I think tonight you'll get a better effort from them. And, the only reason I didn't fade Washington last night is because I was not a big proponent of Boston either coming into this season. That's why I didn't fade Washington last night. Well, tonight I'm going to fade them because they looked awful. Toronto is going to be angry. They got the Ilya Samsonov factor. I think this matters. I don't always love it. The goalie faces his former team for the first time, and I don't love that angle to say, oh, we got to bet on Toronto just because of that. But because every situation is different. Sometimes you part on good terms. You just can't come to an agreement money-wise, and the goalie ends up going to another team. This isn't that. This is Washington punted on Ilya Samsonov. They didn't want him back. They saw last year he had a tough year, and they decided, you know what? We don't think you're good enough. Goodbye. And I think that is going to fuel Ilya Samsonov tonight. That he was basically shunted by the Washington Capitals, and now he gets to play with his new team, and I think a team that is going to at least try to play better in front of their goalie, because I do think they let Matt Murray left him out to dry a little bit at times last night. So I think Toronto will play a better defensive game in front of Samsonov, and Samsonov will certainly be fully eager to have a great game. I think the Ilya Samsonov over saves prop might be something to consider here tonight in this game. If you're looking for, I don't do the saves props very often for goaltenders, but I think that one makes some sense tonight. And as I said, I like Toronto in regulation. And for goal props, I'm going right back to Dennis Malgin. It is insane, and it was one of my two best bets was Malgin. I also used Shinnikov for Columbus. He did not score, but still 1-1, and Malgin scores, so it's profit with the plus 250. I'm coming right back to the wall. I'm seeing plus 680 at FanDuel, plus 700 at Caesars with Dennis Malgin. Do people not get that this guy, it was great in the preseason, was lighting it up, and is playing on the second line for this team with Tavares and Nylander? So he's getting the minutes. He's getting the opportunities. Are you kidding? 700 at Caesars, 680 at FanDuel with that price for him just to score a goal? And, of course, we saw him score last night. It's just an insane price. It's an impossible price not to bet. Simple as that. It's just I was stunned. Couldn't believe it when I saw it. Alex, what do you think here? Washington, Toronto.
Yeah, like I said, Washington just laid a complete egg last night, and we knew about the injuries that they had, missing Wilson, missing Backstrom, but you didn't think that was going to be the end of the world against the Boston team that was pretty banged up. They just had no energy whatsoever. Like I said, they had a bit of a bolt, a jolt in the second period. They scored 2 goals quickly, cut the lead down to 3-2. But then once they had a chance, a couple of open power plays in the third, they just did nothing with them. They cycled in their own zone. They weren't passing the puck cleanly, which is usually characteristic we see with the Capitals for many, many years. They've been one of the better passing teams for at least the last decade plus. We didn't see that from them last night. So you can't make those mistakes against a Toronto team that surely they're upset with themselves about blowing that lead and losing late to Montreal in front of their home crowd. You can't let them down. They've done that so many times in the past. You got to come out guns blazing. So I like Toronto on the first period puck line, laying half a goal at plus 130. And I'm right there with you on Samsonov, that saves prop over. I don't play that much often at all. If I do any player props, I usually stay away from anything goalie related. But I think this is going to be a huge spot for him, not just because it's his former team, but he's with a better team in a better spot. Toronto is still a legitimate, contender to win the Eastern Conference despite their shortcomings in the playoffs, where Washington's trending downward fast. And I'm sure he saw that closer than maybe some of us did playing with that team last year. So that, and he has a chance to really kind of take the reins as the number one goalie here. Matt Murray, like I said, as well as he played last game, I think Samsonov's a better goaltender. I think in due time, this will be his number one spot. If he can have a big start here tonight and get a win for the Leafs, that helps his case out to be the number one goalie for this team. So I like the Leafs first period puck line, and I like the overseas prop for Samsonov.
All right, so Toronto first period puck line. That's the -0.5 that you can get with the Leafs, and you can get at that price plus 130. Pretty good price with that as well. And the Ilya Samsonov over saves, and I'm going to go with just a -126 is available at Pinnacle. Toronto in regulation. -126 tonight. I think they'll get the job done here. And this is a bounce back situation. It's a wake up call after Keefe, what he said last night about the sloppy play and the turnovers. Like I said with Ray at the beginning of the show, Jake Muzzin's fall from grace is stunning. This guy was a huge component of what made that Kings blue line in those Stanley Cup years so good. And he's throwing up pucks right in the middle of the ice in his own zone with 20 seconds left, leading to that Montreal game-winning goal. It's shocking. To see a veteran defenseman. Bantam hockey players are taught, don't throw the puck through the middle of the ice, in your own zone, especially with 20 seconds left when you're trying to secure a point and get the game to overtime. Oh, my gosh, was it horrible. I couldn't believe I saw that from Jake Muzzin. He knows better, but sometimes you have just that brain fart. You have that absolute moment where you have that brain freeze and you lock up and you do something and make a play you absolutely should not. And that's exactly what happened.
And back-to-back nights of that, we had Sean Dursey do it night one for the LA Kings with that missed pass. So two bad mistakes by defensemen turning into goals late in the third period.
It is. Puck management, Alex. I mean, it's harped on by coaches, And especially when you're talking about trying to get the game to overtime, because that's the difference between getting at least 1 point, maybe still 2,
Right.
and none. Last night was that cataclysmic blunder at the end of that game by Muzzin for the Leafs last night against Montreal. All right, next up, we've got the New York Rangers and Minnesota Wild. Minnesota minus 135, home favorite, 6 the total. So Ray obviously said he likes the Rangers, and I lean to the Rangers. I haven't bet the Rangers yet, but I could only bet the Rangers here. I mean, you're talking plus 115. They have a game under their belt already, so they knocked whatever. They didn't really have much rust, to be honest with you. They played very well. They controlled that game against Tampa Bay. And I just look at this and I say the Rangers are plus 115 with one of, if not, he isn't the best. You still got to put Vasilevsky there, but one of the best goalies in the world and in the league in Igor Shesterkin. And I'm going to really line up to bet against him and this team as underdogs. I can't do it. I won't do it. So for me, it's Rangers or nothing. I haven't bet the Rangers yet, but I was impressed with what I saw against Tampa Bay. Zibanejad with the 2 goals. He actually nearly had a hat trick. I'm coming back to the well in this game with Kakko and Hedl props. I mean, they didn't contribute the other night against Tampa, but it was kind of a mundane atmosphere. I think they're going to have to score maybe a little bit more tonight because Minnesota might press, especially in the home opener, right? You're going to get a good effort from Minnesota. It is their home opener. There'll be good energy. They can push the pace. I think the Rangers will be forced to maybe be a little bit more aggressive offensively tonight. So I think Kakko is going to have an opportunity to get more chances. I thought he was pretty good. I thought Kakko had a bunch of chances the other night. The puck just didn't go in for him. He got robbed by Vasilevsky on one of the chances he had. I mean, I thought he was noticeable on the ice for the New York Rangers in that game against Tampa Bay. He was around the net. He was where you wanted to be. He's going to be on that top line once again with Zibanejad and Kreider. So back to the well with Kakko, even though he did not find the score sheet against Tampa. He had a good preseason. I think he's got the chance to do so here in this game. This is probably an underlean for me. Again, just like I said, the Rangers don't mind playing better defensive hockey, relying on Shesterkin, who was just absolutely terrific. No summer rust at all with the way he played against Tampa Bay. And, betting Shesterkin in net over a total of 6 is not something I'm really rushing to do. Alex, what do you think here, Rangers and Wild?
Well, if you guys watch the season preview, this is my Stanley Cup Finals preview right here. The Rangers out of the East and the Wild out of the West. I think it's going to be a really fun game. Wild, they always get geared up for the opening night. There's already a big crowd that's out. They've got, basically like a tailgate situation going on just down the street here at XL Energy Center in St. Paul. So it's going to be a fun atmosphere. And the Rangers, like I said, they look tuned up and primed and ready. The Wild look good during their preseason games. And there's 2 plays I like here. I like the draw at plus 335. I think we actually do see some back and forth scoring, even though this is a great goalie matchup with Shesterkin for New York and Fleury is confirmed for the Wild. But I think we're going to see a bit more offense and a bit more jump. Like I said, the Rangers, they played more to the style of Tampa Bay. Like I said, the Lightning have clearly they're committed more to playing a slower pace and style than we've seen in previous seasons. Rangers are one of those teams that can adapt to any way you want. And the Wild, they want to play with a bit more tempo and pace, especially at home where they've been so successful. So I like the draw at 335. I lean with the over. And for a player prop, I'm actually going to take Matt Zuccarello plus 250 to score a goal. He had a couple of really nice goals in the preseason.
Yes,
him and Kaprizov have been connecting like crazy right now. So Kaprizov to get maybe 1.5 points would be something I lean with. But I definitely went and bet plus 250 on Matt Zuccarello to score anytime goal.
Yeah, and it fits that philosophy that I've talked about the last couple of days with my early season NHL goal scorer player props. The guys that really got it going in the preseason and they've carried it over. Look at Matty Beniers. Look at Dennis Malgin last night for Toronto. There's a bunch of examples of guys that have really had good preseasons, and we've already seen them find the back of the net for the first game in the regular season. Caulfield had a great preseason, and look at what he did last night. 2 goals for Montreal. Pinto is one of those guys. Like I mentioned with the Ottawa Buffalo game earlier, I know he's on the 3rd line, but Shane Pinto had 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 4 preseason games for the Ottawa Senators. I think he's a great value prop tonight, Shane Pinto. Same thing with Zuccarello. 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in, I think, 3 or 4 preseason games. So Zuccarello had a really good preseason for the Wild. I like that prop. Kaprizov, you can never say no to that in terms of player props. And as Terry Edelman, our great friend of the show. Minnesota Wild fan says Rossi, Jost. You're right. That's why Jost is on the second line right now for Minnesota tonight because he had a good preseason. That's what I like in my player props and my goal scorer props. The guys that have got that confidence from the preseason of playing well, contributing offensively, going to get the ice time, going to get the minutes, in a lot of cases, going to get top six forward role. All good props, definitely. Minnesota there. Rossi, Jost in particular, Zuccarello, as Alex mentioned. And for me on the Rangers side, I'm going to go back to the well with Kakko for sure in this one against Minnesota. All right, Dallas and Nashville. We've got the Predators minus 135 home favorites, 5.5 the total. I've got these teams in my power ratings pretty much close to each other. I don't think there's a huge separation between the Stars and the Predators. It's kind of like that flip a coin type of spot for me. I might actually play Dallas here at plus 115 just because of the situation. You've got Nashville returning back from the Czech Republic from those 2 games against San Jose. Now, look, they've had time. You do give the NHL credit. They gave Nashville from Saturday when they played that second game against San Jose until tonight, Thursday, to travel back from the Czech Republic to North America, try to get themselves reacclimated again to the time zone change and back comfortable in their surroundings and their and familiar with their surroundings again. But it's still not easy, that kind of trip. And they did a lot of events too while they were there. It's part of the global series. They had these teams really do a bunch of public events as well. You just wonder if Nashville is a risky favorite tonight, given that situation. And Dallas, obviously, is a team that they bring in Peter DeBoer. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But again, I've got questions about where's the offense going to come from outside of Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, Mason Marchment, which I'm going to be betting Mason Marchment props. You already know that. Someone that I've been betting a lot last year. We'll get back on the Mason Marchment train here tonight. Seguin and Ben. What's interesting? Ben is starting the season on the third line. And I'm not a big DeBoer fan, but I'm applauding him for this. It's time to send that big man a wake-up call. You got to bring it every night. You should be a guy that's being able to dominate every night with that frame, with that skill set that you have, with the hands for a bigger guy that Jamie Benn has. And the fact that it looks like tonight, Alex, he's with Wyatt Johnston and Guryanov on the third line tells you that, we need you to be better. And same goes for Seguin, too, who's hot and cold. I know Pavelski's going to bring it every night because that's the kind of player he is. I know Hintz will be good because we've seen it 2 years in a row. He's been great. Robertson, I don't worry about now. A great offensive player. But it's time to get Jamie Benn's ass kicked into high gear for Dallas. How will they adjust to Klingberg being gone? All these guys got to play more minutes. Heiskanen, Miller, Essa Lindell. Watch for Niels Lundqvist, the guy they got in that deal with the Rangers. He didn't want to play on the Rangers. He wanted out of New York because so many other of those young defensemen that they have supplanted him, passed him by on the depth chart. So he wanted to go to some place and get a greater opportunity. He's got that now with Dallas. Niels Lundqvist could be someone to keep an eye on. If you can find a point prop for him, it might be worth it because he was not bad at all in the preseason for Dallas. For them, Ottinger has been confirmed in net. We weren't sure. It was a few minutes ago, but it is Ottinger for Dallas. We would assume UC Saros for Nashville. Hasn't been confirmed on that end, but I would assume we're going to see Saros for Nashville. I'm probably going to end up on Dallas for a small bet, plus 115, situational based, plus the fact I've got these teams pretty much close to even. So flip a coin, take the dog, and plus the situation, I think, a little in their favor. So I'll make a case for Dallas here at plus 115. Alex, what do you think here, Dallas, Nashville?
Yeah, I am on Dallas rather at plus 115. I think Nashville's a tad bit overrated. Obviously, the 2 wins they got against the San Jose Sharks, one of the worst teams in the league, and the situation being playing in Europe and now having to come back and get acclimated to the regular time and just the regular ice. There's a whole bunch of different things. As opposed to just the regular camp, you break out and everything's kind of the same. So I think it's a good spot here for Dallas. Like I said, Jamie Benn getting dropped to the third line. Hopefully, if that wakes him up, then that creates more balance amongst the top 3 lines for Dallas. So if they can split that group up and get some production from Ben, from Seguin, and those guys consistently, we know Hintz and Robertson are going to chip in as well. that just means more offensive production for Dallas. That's better for them because we know they're going to get the defense and the goaltending. Andre, like I said, I think he's going to make a great leap this year. I think he could really be one of those dark horses for the Vezina, honestly. And I think this would be a big spot for them. And I think they've played poorly in Nashville over the years. So to try and get on the right start, open the season with a win in Nashville, that'll be a really big stepping stone for them. So I like the Stars here as a dog.
All right, like in Dallas, here's an underdog. I will say this, that top line, if they can get those three playing up to their capabilities, that could be a really good top line for the Dallas Stars. Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, and the veteran Joe Pavelski, who clearly has shown you the last couple of years he's still got plenty left to give, plenty left in that tank. Guy just busts it, busts his tail every night, Joe Pavelski. You love players like that for your hockey team. Give it their all. No nights off, and you get that from Pavelski for Dallas, no question. Could be the game of the night here, this next one. Western Conference Final preview. I actually think this would be my Western Conference Final, although it wouldn't be for Alex because I know he likes Minnesota out of the West. Colorado and Calgary. We've got Calgary minus 135, home favorite, 6.5 the total. I am doing it, and I don't feel great because I'm like, Colorado's an underdog. You're really going to bet against them, Ian? Really? The second game of the year? I am. I think Calgary, this home opener, first game for Huberdeau and Weegar and Kadri for that matter. But by the way, you got to get involved in the the player facing his former team angle in this game tonight. And Nazem Kadri, goal scorer, point, whatever the case may be, that is definitely something that we've talked about last year. How many times did we see it last year, Alex? Player facing his old team, and he steps it up. He ramps it up. He wants to make an impact. He wants to make a difference. He wants to prove a point that and it ended on amicable terms. It was just they couldn't pay Kadri what he wanted, but still, still didn't go that extra mile to pay me what I wanted to in order to keep me. So he wants to show Colorado here that, hey, I'm with Calgary now, and I'm going to make you pay. So obviously Kadri, and what a great offseason after it looked like it was turning into a disaster for Brad Treliving with Gaudreau walking, Tkachuk requesting a trade, and sure enough, he does trade Tkachuk, but we never thought in a million years, in our wildest dreams, the return would be Huberdeau and Weegar. I mean, just incredible. And then get both of them signed long-term. The concern and the fear I had initially was, oh my gosh, these guys are UFAs after this year. He's got to worry about bringing them back long-term. This could be one and done, and you lose Tkachuk for basically 1 year of Huberdeau and Weegar. Well, that's no longer a concern with both of those guys re-upped for the long run. And then you bring in Kadri, and all of a sudden you got Huberdeau, Lindholm, and Toffoli's a great top line. The second line, I think Dylan Dubé is going to have a nice year. I mean, Mangiapane was that player last year for Calgary that had that breakout season. Well, now that Dylan Dubé, Alex, is going to get regular second line duty, at least to begin the year, I think he's going to be that guy that goes from being a 10-something goal scorer to 20, 25. He might even get 30 goals on that top line or that second line this year for Calgary. So Dubé for sure is a great prop value-wise tonight, playing with Kadri and Mangiapane. That could be a really good second line for Calgary. Good checking third line with some offensive upside as well with Blake Coleman, Michael Backlund, Trevor Lewis, who's been locked at the hip with Daryl Sutter for feels like a decade going back to L.A. Lucic, Rooney, and Ritchie rounding it out. Like I say, this blue line, there's not that one surefire Norris Trophy defenseman, Alex, but 1 through 6, it's as good and steady and deep as it gets. They're all good. They're all good defense. There's no below-average defenseman for this Calgary team. Weegar, Tanev, Hanifin, Rasmus Anderson, Nikita Zadorov, Michael Stone is the sixth defenseman right now because Oliver Shillington's injured. Wait till they get Shillington back. He was one of the most improved defensemen last year in the NHL. And, of course, Jacob Markstrom in between the pipes for the Calgary Flames. Although he was battling an illness, his status was up in the air. He has been confirmed that Markstrom is good to go. There was a little fear there with an illness. He might not play tonight, but he is good to go. Just a tough spot for Colorado. Now, it's not that they're on a back-to-back. It's that they had the banner raising. That's, I think, what makes this tough. It was an emotional night. They were all enjoying that, lapping up the adulation of the Stanley Cup banner raising, getting their rings, smashing Chicago, and now you got to turn around and play. It's tough. for Colorado. The back-to-back, just the physical part of it isn't what concerns me, because back-to-backs the first week of the year, they do not concern me. In fact, sometimes I like backing teams second to back-to-back games early in the year because fatigue's not an issue. This is the emotional and the mental side of things that might trip Colorado up a little bit here tonight. Not to mention, in terms of their net minding, we obviously saw last night, it was Georgiev in net for them last night. We'll see how it goes tonight in this game. But you have Francouz, but Francouz is a guy that hasn't been able to stay healthy. And when he's on the ice, he'll have a great game and he'll have a not so good game. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can deliver in net, assuming that's who we get for Colorado in net tonight. But Georgiev was fine. But again, Georgiev only had to make 15 saves last night against Chicago. So I'm going to go with Calgary here, minus 135. How can I not bet my Stanley Cup champion pick, in their first game of the year, their home opener? And I do have the Flames over the Rangers as my Stanley Cup final this year. So Calgary minus 135 for me. I won't bet against Colorado too often, but I think it's a decent spot tonight to do so. What do you think, Alex? Colorado, Calgary?
Yeah, I totally agree with you here with Flames. And like I said, I wouldn't even look at regulation. I would look at laying the $1.35 here. This is going to be a great atmosphere. If you're in Calgary and in that area, you got a ticket. Try to get there early because the first 5,000 people are going to get a beer. It's a throwback promotion I haven't heard of in a very long time, but that's what they're doing, trying to fill up the barn and the Sea of Red, get that going. They've got one of the best pregame atmospheres in the league, based on just what I've seen, watching off of television. I've never been there. Would like to go to a game there at some point, but they really do it up big. And Colorado, coming off of, like I said, the banner night, it's not so much the physical fatigue of this back-to-back, it's more the emotional fatigue. And if you look at last night's game, the two factors that really gave the Avalanche the win was the revolving door of the penalty box for Chicago. They gave them all those power play chances. You cannot afford to give the Avalanche power play chances, especially in the half dozen like Chicago did. But you look at the first period of play, Colorado kind of sleptwalked through that first 20 minutes. They didn't do anything really impressive. It was only because of the penalties that the Hawks kept taking that gave that power play chance, and that's a lethal power play no matter how good or bad the opponent is. So Calgary is going to be way more responsible early in this game than what we saw from Chicago. A much better defensive team, much better goaltender. So I think Calgary's got a really good spot here tonight. Like I said, betting with Colorado is not going to be a smart move all the time, but here at a decent price, I'll go the Flames.
All right, liking the Flames, and Alex is going to go one step further in regulation to get a little bit of a better price here with Calgary in this one against Colorado. There are some props that I'm still going to probably look at for Colorado as well. And to me, it would be Lehkonen, it would be Big Val. Both of them scored last night, obviously. Lehkonen, by the way, is just he's going to be fine. I mean, anybody worried about Landeskog being out, well, he's fine with Rantanen and McKinnon. Clearly, and we saw that last night. And I still would come back maybe to Newhook, as in that number 2 center role to maybe find some offense and get on the score sheet tonight as well. All right, Alex, we got to do it. It's the Chicago Blackhawks. Once again, we got to talk about them. Taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas minus 350, home favorite, 6.5 the total. I swear I will not introduce Chicago that way every single time they play a game this year. But early on, yeah, we know it's going to be some difficult times. And this is a tough spot, right? I mean, they played Colorado last night in the altitude, lose 5-2, back-to-back. Now you're playing Vegas, who's got the rest advantage. The one thing, though, for Chicago, again, though, is the back-to-back this early in the season, the first week. It's not nearly as bad. But still, what is bad is the ability to keep the puck out of the net. And it's going to be an issue all year for the Chicago Blackhawks. We saw it last night. And say what you will about Vegas, I thought they looked crisp for Bruce Cassidy offensively against LA. The puck movement, the player movement, there was net drive, there was net front presence. There was players going to the net looking for loose pucks, looking for rebounds, doing the little things that you need to be able to do to score goals in the National Hockey League. I think it was really good to see that from the Vegas Golden Knights, just the way they were executing things offensively in the zone in that victory against the LA Kings. And it's going to cause a whole lot of trouble because if you have multiple players going to the front of the net, and Bruce Cassidy mentioned that multiple times in the victory against LA, well, you're going to get the defense caught out of position because they won't know who to, like if you got multiple players driving the front of the net, that's what opens up lanes. That's what gets defensemen out of position. And to be honest, it's not going to take much to get Chicago's defense out of position. So this could be something where Vegas is able to thrive on this. Raymond Reddington, I do want to bring this up in the chat because I was actually going to mention that too. It's not a bad combo. Vegas and over 5.5. Vegas to win and over 5.5. You can do these combo bets, side and full game total. I think that's a great one. And at plus 105, you get a great plus price with that. I have no issues with that. In fact, I might sprinkle on that myself. And more than anything, I already have Vegas team total in this game, over 4.5. I'm going to see how long we can roll with this, Alex, with these team total overs for the Chicago Blackhawk opponents. And again, it's 4.5. You can get plus 127 at Pinnacle. You can get a really good price with that. Now, if you want to be a little safer, you could get it at 4. BetMGM is one book, Alex, where they'll actually let you bet 4, like a round number, and even like instead of the half, 4.5, 3.5, they'll actually let you bet over 4, over 3 with team totals. So if you want to be a little bit safer, a little bit more cautious, you can get Vegas here in terms of their team total tonight at BetMGM, who I know they offer them. You can get it over 4 for Vegas's team total at minus 135. So again, you got to lay a little juice, but again, you got the security of if they score exactly 4 goals, you'll get a push and you'll get your money back. So Vegas team total over. I like that. And as Raymond in our chat says, that's not bad at all. Vegas money line and over 5.5 here at plus 105. Alex, Blackhawks, Golden Knights.
Yeah, that's the best way to attack this game by far and large, because I went over 6.5 and minus $1.10 this morning. And my thought process was I was projecting that possibly Aiden Hill could start for Vegas. It will be Logan Thompson. So that was kind of my reasoning for just taking the full game over as opposed to just Vegas team total. But then on the flip side, I still feel fine with 6.5 because there's a good chance we're going to get our first Alex Stalock sighting of the year. And that's really the fade. He's right there, almost dangerously close to Aaron Dell territory, where we're going to be looking at overs in some form or fashion when he's in net, based on how he looked in the preseason. It was just really, really bad. And the Hawks off the second night back-to-back historically just haven't really done well in that spot. Like I said, now fatigue shouldn't be that much of an issue. But just the fact that how they played, it was abysmal. Like I said, the revolving door in the penalty box, you cannot afford to do that against anybody, but especially this Vegas team now. Like I said, I was really stunned at how well they looked offensively and how crisp they were at moving the puck. And kudos to Bruce Cassidy for getting what so many coaches fail to do. Like I said, getting traffic in front of the net and creating havoc between the circles. That's the way you can disrupt the defense and get some goals. And we talk about how Phil Kessel moving the puck along as well. Maybe he's kind of facilitated into that Joe Thornton role potentially, where he might be a guy to get you a ton of assists to help with some of those top line scorers. This is a game that Vegas can really kind of name their score with, just like it was with Colorado last night. The one thing Hawks fans can hope for, at least Chicagoans can hope for, is that maybe the Bears will be in the lead by the time this game starts, because it's a late start around 9:30.
In my honest opinion, Bears have a much better chance of victory tonight than the Blackhawks. There's no question about that, especially when they're playing that horrible Commanders team. But when you look at it here for the Blackhawks, I will say this, though. If you're going to take – I cashed a plus 410 he was last night to score for Chicago. Max Domi, and I'm not a big Max Domi fan, but if they're going to have him as their top-line center, to begin the season, and you're going to throw out prices like plus 410 on him to score a goal, I'm taking that. Yeah. It could be me playing top-line center in the National Hockey League, and if they're going to price me plus 410 as a top-line center in the National Hockey League to score a goal, I'm fucking betting the thing. It's simple as that. I mean, it's because you're getting the ice time. You're going to get, obviously, you're playing with great players around you, like a Patrick Kane, obviously. I mean, that I couldn't believe it. Domi was plus 410 to score last night. And if he gets on, you want to know how, by the way, and it was the night of nights for me betting goal scorer props. I'll never have a night like that again. 28 units of profit with goal scorer props, 22 and 29. And 22 and 29 record for goal scorer props is insanely good, because that's more than enough to be a very good profit when it's all said and done. So, to me, it was just one of those nights, and we were cashing some 300s, some 400s. Malgin came through. It was just unbelievable. But yeah, plus 410 on Domi. And I know Domi's inconsistent. He'll have games where he doesn't show up, can't find him with a telescope. The Ian Cameron's saying, that. But you're going to price a top line center, Alex, at plus 410 to score a goal. I mean, it's tough to say no to that.
Yeah, especially when he had a nice looking goal last night. That was the second goal for the Hawks. So, I think if he gets another goal again, we probably won't get that kind of value. So, yeah, definitely jump on it now while it's still available.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that you're talking about a National Hockey League top line center getting that price to score. It's just not an easy thing to say no to. All right, we got our final game here, Seattle and Los Angeles. And by the way, I want to mention too, Vegas, Jack Eichel. Go crazy with props for him right now because he looks ready. He looks locked in. He was all over the ice. He could add more than just the one goal he had a bunch of chances. He was noticeable. He's a big reason why that power play started to click in the third period for Vegas. So Jack Eichel looks ready. He looks like he's healthy as he's been in a long time, fully recovered from the neck surgery. So make sure you keep an eye on Jack Eichel. That was a great first impression for Jack Eichel with his Vegas Golden Knights here in the regular season. Seattle Kraken, LA Kings now. Final game on this Thursday card. LA minus 180, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I think I might look over the total here. We cashed an over with LA in their opener. I did say that I think LA is going to play a little bit more higher scoring hockey. Not every single game. They'll have still their unders, and they still are, I think, a solid defensive team. But I think their offensive abilities and depth is just a lot greater. Kevin Fiala comes over to play now with Kopitar and Kempe. That top line was very good for the Kings in the game against Vegas, even though Vegas ended up getting the 4-3 win. Moore, Deneau, and Gabe Vilardi. I'm telling you, Gabe Vilardi is going to be someone to be noticeable. They say the reason Gabe Vilardi's first round pick, let's not forget that. The reason why Gabe Vilardi hasn't developed as quickly as anybody liked is because he's had one injury after another. He's 23 years old right now. He hasn't been fully healthy. He struggled to stay on the ice. He only had 25 games last year. Todd McClellan said it. Vilardi himself said it. He's feeling as good as he's felt health-wise, physically, since he's been in the NHL. So I think the time is now for Gabe Vilardi to finally start realizing some of that potential he has with this LA Kings team. And I cashed a goal scorer prop with him against Vegas, and I would come back to the well with that here. And same with my guy from who played in Hamilton right here with the Bulldogs for a bit, Arthur Kaliev in junior hockey. What was it, plus 480 for him to score a goal the other night? And I know he's not got top 6 minutes like some of the other players on this Kings team, but he's still playing on the third line, and he doesn't need to be on the top 6 to make an impact. He was a goal-scoring machine in preseason, even though he didn't get a ton of minutes, and we already saw him find the back of the net against Vegas in the regular season opener for the LA Kings. So some good player prop value. Kaliev and Vilardi for sure, I think, are great value there for the LA Kings. The blue line's solid. The blue line can move the puck as well. All these guys can really move the puck very well for the Kings, get the rush going. Quick and Peterson. Quick actually was pretty solid in net for the most part, even though they lost that game. They couldn't really fault him on many of the goals. Seattle, man, that was crushing last night. I mean, you're up 4-2. You outshoot Anaheim 48-26, and you find a way to lose. Anaheim comes back and then wins in overtime. It was the Zegras and Terry show down the stretch for Anaheim. They were great, but that's still not a game you should lose if you're Seattle. Philip Grubauer's issues continue. I mean, at some point you need a save from him down the stretch. He just wasn't able to deliver one for the Kraken. You would think on a back-to-back here for them, they've got to try to bounce back from that. I think that's going to be difficult. And you're going to probably roll with Martin Jones most likely in net. And we're not big fans of Martin Jones. It has been confirmed that, yes, Martin Jones will be the starting goaltender tonight, making his debut for the Seattle Kraken. Yeah, and a lot of people say, fired up to play that for that new team. But when it's Martin Jones, I make an exception. I don't trust him to be great. And it'll be quick, by the way, for LA. We've seen enough of Martin Jones to know what we're going to get from him most nights. So I'm going to go with LA in regulation here, just like the same type of bet I did with the Leafs earlier in this Thursday slate when we broke down Capitals Leafs. I'm on the Leafs in regulation. I'm going to go with LA minus 112 in regulation here. And I'm also going to go over 6 with the Kraken and the Kings. Alex, what do you think here? Seattle, LA.
Yeah, I got screwed over with that under last night with Seattle and Anaheim. And you called it right on the head with Seattle. That offense, tons of quality chances too with those 48 shots that they had. Unfortunately, the goaltending still a bit shaky and they let them down late. They ended up losing 5-4, but they're definitely a team with a much more improved offense and just an offensive approach. And the defense looked good too. Like I said, it was just the goaltending. They let up some soft goals late, but they still, they're finding their footing as far as playing a complete two-way game. And LA, the tough loss for them, but they looked sharp. Like I said, Quick still looks to be, at least in the close to the form we saw last year, which is a great spot for LA if he can continue that. I like the 6 over 6 here at minus $1.20, especially when we talk about Martin Jones in that as well. He's definitely one of those goalies we like to go over with. So I think that's a decent price and a decent number. Definitely won't be looking at any under 5.5s anymore involving Seattle, because I know that this offense can actually get some good shots on goal and light the lamp a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, here's the Martin Jones goals against numbers the last 3 years. In 2019, it was an even 3 goals against average with San Jose 2019, 3.28 goals against average San Jose 2020, and then last season with Philadelphia, 3.43 goals against average. So it's actually climbed incrementally each season, each of the last 3 years, that goals against average for Martin Jones. So, yeah, I like over 6 here, and I like LA as well in regulation. That being said, I'm still going to have some Kraken props. Matty Beniers is a must-bet. Goal and point every game until proven otherwise. And you're still going to get really good prices here with him. And that is why I think I pegged Seattle to be a better offensive team, because you're going to get a full season of Matty Beniers, who already showed last year, what he is capable of in terms of improving the Seattle offense. And tonight, I want to see how much of an adjustment, if at all, they've made because you could get plus 300 last night. You can actually get higher than, maybe it's because they're on the road on a back-to-back, but you can get plus 325, plus 330 right now in various books with Matty Beniers to score a goal tonight. I mean, at that price, you got to look at it. Simple as that. And they bring in Andre Burakovsky to help the offense, scores a goal last night against Anaheim. They bring in Oliver Bjorkstrand from Columbus. He scores a goal last night for Seattle. So this is definitely a much better offensive team. There is no question about that. Much better. With Beniers there and Burakovsky there now and Bjorkstrand, you can push guys like Jordan Eberle and Ryan Donato down the lineup a little bit. And all of a sudden, you've got much greater length and offensive scoring depth in your lineup if you're Dave Haxtell for this Seattle team. So definitely an improved offensive team. So I think it'll be a fun late night matchup here on the West Coast at Crypto Arena between the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings. And by the way, I was on Bjorkstrand and Burakovsky goal scorer props last night. I wouldn't talk anyone out of looking in those directions tonight once again either. All right, great stuff. That is the Thursday NHL card. Great show, and we thank Ray Bryce for joining us, one of our favorite guests here on the Ice Guys show, for joining us once again. We appreciate everyone joining us live on YouTube. We did hit for a period of time there 200 live viewers. So for that, we thank you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe to the Ice Guys YouTube channel, follow National Hockey Now, our great partners as well. Check that out. Make sure you go to our patreon.com/Ice Guys. It's just $10 a month. We'll have the daily card for the Ice Guys show posted there every single day. My power ratings will be posted there later on today and updated every week. Alex's goalie charts, tons of great stuff on the Patreon page. So make sure you check that out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, check out the Patreon page. Also follow us on Twitter. I'm at AXMA Sports. Ian's at Bobano, and the Ice Guys at _Ice Guys. If you look on the info page of that'll give us all your links, so you can find the podcast, you can find the YouTube channel, find the Ice Guys store. So we got everything kind of neatly listed through that Twitter avenue as well.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. And lots of guests too coming up throughout the rest of October. We're going to get Jimmy Murphy, our friend. We're going to bring him back, and he'll be on every week, once a week on the Ice Guys throughout the season. So we're looking forward to reuniting with Jimmy. We're going to have obviously Kyle Bond joining us on Saturday. We're going to have Brian Lee, who is a veteran defenseman with Ottawa years ago. Brian Lee had his unfortunately career derailed by injury, but he'll be joining us on Tuesday next week on the show. So looking forward to that. We're going to have our old friend Brett McLean is going to be joining us once before the end of the month as well. Looking forward to that and a bunch of other guests as well. So looking forward to a busy October here with the Ice Guys and our first betcast as well on Tuesday, October the 25th. We will have our first live Ice Guys betcast of the season, Tuesday, October 25th, starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And if you're new to the betcasts, haven't watched any of them before, and you're new to the show, you haven't seen our betcasts or joined us for any of them, they're a shit ton of fun. So you don't want to miss it.
Definitely, absolutely.
and hopefully a lot of profits to go with it, because we're all pretty experienced now with betting NHL games live. So that's also the goal, to try to make some money with those live betcasts as well. All right, another great show in the books. Before we wrap it up, best bets for this great Thursday card, 10 games to choose from. Remember, Ray had his best bet earlier in the show, Ottawa Buffalo over. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
You know what? I'm going to go down the street to the Excel Center, and I'm going to go with that draw, plus 335 with the Rangers and Wild tonight. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Like I said, I think that's my Stanley Cup preview. And honestly, I think these are two teams that know that they're at the top of their game in their respective conferences, and they're going to play each other tough. We already saw how the Rangers, they came out, picked up right where they left off, basically. Wild, they've got to try to get the bad taste out of their mouths of that playoff loss they had against the Blues. And, of course, they always play well at home. So I think it's going to be a tough battle. It's going to take a little bit longer than 60 minutes to get it done. So I'm going to go with the draw with New York and Minnesota.
All right, there it is. New York and Minnesota draw at a great plus price for Alex P. Smith with his best bet. And my best bet, Ray Bryce stole my thunder. He was reading my email, reading my script, I guess you could say, for the Ice Guys show today. My best bet will also be Ottawa Buffalo over 6.5, minus 118. I like that quite a bit. It's gone up from 6 to 6.5, but I still like it at the current price. Those are two teams that I think are better offensively right now than defensively, both the Sabres and the Senators. Same with the goaltending. I mean, Forsberg can be good some nights, not so good others. And for Buffalo, you're relying on Craig Anderson, who's going to be in net. He's in his 40s now, and Ottawa can flat out score with that forward group. And I think you're going to find out Buffalo can as well with that young, great, promising young group of forwards, all of them with high ceiling. Tage Thompson, of course, had the breakout year last year, but there's Jack Quinn, who they expect big things from this year at Buffalo. Jeff Skinner had a bounce-back year. Alex Tuch, a full season with the Sabres, close to his hometown. Casey Middlestad healthy. Peyton Krebs, Dylan Cousins, J.J. Peterka. It goes on for Buffalo. They're going to be able to find the back of the net, too. Ottawa, Buffalo, over 6.5 for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Jay Rosehill, that's the one I was thinking of. He's also going to join us within the next few weeks as well. That'll be a lot of fun. As one of my favorite players to watch fight like 10 years ago when he was with the Leafs and the Flyers. This guy didn't have boring fights. It wasn't clutching and grabbing and just wrestling and not do anything. It was throw those hammer fists, throw those dukes. He didn't screw around. He didn't waste time. Always entertaining when he dropped the gloves with somebody. I remember him and Sean Thornton fought a couple of times. Oh, man. Miss those days. We don't see enough of that anymore.
Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. The good old days, which also shows you how older Alex and I continue to get. But that's another story. That's a wrap for the Ice Guys. We thank you guys for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. For Alex P. Smith and for our special guest, Ray Bryce, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will talk to you again tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.